Hello and welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal. It is another Pots preview, people. We are going to be talking tonight about the upcoming fixture at the weekend with Everton. Everton and Arsenal have had pretty similar seasons so far, so it seems. Both needing a new manager already before Christmas, which is never good. Joining me tonight is an Arsenal fan that you will all know because he's my colleague from the Same Old Arsenal. It is a Mr. Lee Judges. Lee, how are you, mate?
Oh, I'm okay. You know, it's been an eventful day, isn't it? That's been eventful. So
it has been eventful. Is it weird having me host and not Craig? Is that a bit odd?
Nah, mate. Change is as good as a break, isn't it? Like, you know, that's what I say.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be on with you as always, mate. Pleasure to have you on, Lee. Joining us also is an Everton fan, Neil. Neil, how are you, mate? Lovely to have you on.
Hello, mate. Yep, good to be here.
Good stuff. Listen, let's bring you all in because we have got a lot to talk about, boys, because there is a lot happening at Everton and a lot happening at Arsenal. So we'll start with Everton because me and Lee have talked about Arsenal to death for the last few weeks and I think we need a break from it. So we're going to move on to Everton, Neil. First of all, we're going to talk about the managerial position because it is Duncan Ferguson at the moment and we'll go on to the rumours about Ancelotti in a bit. But first of all, I'm sure Lee will agree with me that the passion that Duncan Ferguson has at the moment in his first two games is just refreshing, isn't it, for you Everton fans?
Oh, massively. I mean, and that's what it is. It's going back to the old school with Big Dunk. You know, he knows the club inside out, he's got that identity. You know, he's Everton through and through. I'm not sure whether you're aware, but Dunk as a player used to wear his wristband on one arm, and when he led the team out against Chelsea, he actually had our Kendall's watch on his right arm. It had stopped, and his wife, I think she's called Lily. She popped over to him before the match and just handed him the watch, and that's Everton. That's Everton all over. You know, you wouldn't get that with Marco Silva, Ronald Koeman, but you got that with Big Duncan. The passion that they shown in that game, and then to go to Old Trafford and get a point, nearly 3, just shows that it's not about a big name manager. It's about passion. It's about identity, and Ferguson brought that, and you're seeing that now.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, I've got you bringing you on that point because when Freddie Ljungberg took over, that's what we wanted to see, wasn't it? What Duncan Ferguson has done at Everton. Wasn't that what we wanted from Arsenal when we got a club legend take us over?
Yeah, but different characters, aren't they? I don't think you can, even if you don't support Everton, I've got a soft spot for Everton, as you know, but if you're not a fan of Everton, to just see what big Duncan Ferguson was doing there. Even the game against Man United, it's pouring down with rain, takes his jacket off and stands there. You know what I mean? It's what the fans want to see, isn't it? You know, it's proper, you know...
and he knows what he's doing as well, you know, it's things like that. He knows the fans and that's going to fire the crowd up, and it did. You know, you're looking at 60,000 United fans and they were silenced for a lot of that game.
Exactly right.
That's what you need.
I think he's got a massive passion for the club. You know, Kevin says that as well. That you know he's a top lad as well, and I think that you know you're dead right. He knows his stuff as well, and putting all that into a little package there, it's fantastic. And you know, from any football fan would love to see that. You know, I'd love to have seen something like that at Arsenal. Unfortunately, Freddie doesn't seem to have that sort of personality. It's not nothing against Freddie. It's just the way that you know, Duncan Ferguson is. And the other thing is, you know, when you're standing there, if you're not putting in 100%, I'm pretty sure half of them wouldn't want to go back in the dressing room after the game, you know. So the boy can look after himself, apparently. So,
just a bit.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know, he got the best out of everyone, especially the young lads that really do look up to him. I think it was before his first match, I think, to quote him, he actually said, you know, just cover every blade of grass on that pitch. And I think the stat after it was that we hadn't made as many tackles in a decade, and that just speaks volumes for a manager to come in at short notice and to get a stat like that. It speaks volumes, doesn't it?
I think it's a great point where you make about some of these young lads, because you have got fairly young players that come through. I look at people like Tom Davis, but the one for me that really has impressed me the last couple of games that I've watched Everton has been DCL up top, Dominic Calvert Lewin.
Yeah, he has. And, you know, fans will always have criticisms of players, but I think you forget how young the lad is. You know, he burst onto the Everton scene quite young. I think he's still only, 21, 22. I think physically he's better. He's fantastic in the air. I don't think he gets enough credit for his aerial ability. And do you know what? He could be the full package. I think Alan Shearer spoke about it not so long back on Match of the Day and said, you know, if he can sort his finishing out, you know, he can be as good as Harry Kane. And that's coming from Alan Shearer. I mean, having watched him week in, week out, he's definitely got those elements to his game, but ultimately going to be judged on goals, and he needs more of that. He's got 2 man of the match performances since Dunk came in, and you know, he's wearing the number 9 shirt. It says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Just before we move on to Arsenal, before we go on, I've got to ask you about Ancelotti, Neil, because it looks to be as if it is pretty much a done deal. We don't know it for 100%, but it looks like Carlo Ancelotti is going to be your manager. What do Everton fans make of that news? Are you excited?
We are, but Everton fans get excited easily as well. But I think you can't not get excited by Ancelotti. He's a born winner. He's been at massive clubs, managed big players, and I think that's going to be the big thing for Everton. With a bit of luck, he'll get us organised and he'll start attracting big players. I think it's a massive statement of intent from the club, especially when you look at the likes of yourselves that are out there looking for a top manager to go out there and get him is huge. I just hope he comes in and does well. I believe it's a 4-year contract. If he does do well, he could effectively lead us to Bramley Moor, the new stadium, and that's a new era for Everton again. You look at managers and he can go on for at least a decade. And who knows, he could create a legacy at Everton. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, listen, I made it quite clear that I was fairly jealous of it. Lee, what's your opinion of Ancelotti going to Everton over Arsenal? What's your thinking of that?
Well, I don't know. You know, a couple of things on that. Who knows if Arsenal offered him the job? You don't know that, you know. So I think that for me, I've always said that Arsenal needs somebody that's going to come in and coach, be a proper, you know, hands-on coach. You know, someone like Brendan Rodgers was the one that I wanted, but obviously that's ship sailed. So I think that Arsenal probably gone down a different route to what Everton have. I also think that with Ancelotti, I don't think that he'd probably suit into what our system of the board is and what we've got here at the moment. So, you know, would I have took him? Yeah, of course, you know what I mean, his experience and everything like that. But I just think that we want to go down the route of the young coach. And, you know, Everton, I think have probably gone down that route with Silva, if I'll be honest, you know what I mean? And they've probably changed their attack a little bit and gone for the trial and trusted in Ancelotti. And let's face it, it's a massive, you know, I've spoken to a few Everton people and all that, like, you know, of course they're going to be excited by that. Who wouldn't be, you know? And, you know, they've got some really good things to look forward to, Everton. I think they've got some good young players. They've got I believe is the stadium this week. This week's going to be, the plans are going to be passed and everything or whatever. So, you know, it's, you know, good times for Everton. And, you know, I wish them all the success tonight and after the weekend, all the success again. But, you know, because they're a club that I think Everton, and not just because Neil's on and not because we're going there this week, is that that Everton are a proper football club. They go back to the old days. They was in the big 4, 5, 6. Always a very, very good side. Hostile place to go to, and still a proper football club now. You know, I've got a chairman that you can see has got the passion for the club. Whether you think that you like him or not, he bleeds Everton. And I just think with Everton also they've got the, you know, when you go up there, they've got that little bit of aura about them. The Z Cars music comes on and the crowd get up for the game, and you're always going to have a tough game there. And you know, I think Everton, if they get this right with Ancelotti, they could be a serious threat in the next couple of years, definitely.
Yeah, I can't disagree. We'll see what happens. Lee, Craig's got a question for you, mate. Where is Judge's Christmas hat?
I'll just tell him I've just ordered it, like that. I mean, it's like Liberty, £2.75. I'm putting in a bill for it as well, like, you know what I mean. With postage and packing, give me a £5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mate, I've got to get one as well.
£2.75, Dan. You know what I mean? Like, I think I made the money.
Well, that's all right. He'll get us. He'll sort us out on the side.
Oh,
He'll
of
get us
course
a
he
Big
will.
Mac and chips.
Also, I just sent him over his package. That cost me £15. You know what I mean? Like, I don't suppose I'll get that back now.
One football man that we do all know, including Neil, is Mikel Arteta. Again, looks like pretty much a done deal. Neil, I'll come to you first. I know you're an Everton fan. What do you make of this for Arsenal going for Mikel Arteta? Do you think it's a massive risk, or would you be fairly quietly excited if you were an Arsenal fan?
I think it's a risk. I think I wouldn't have minded seeing him do well somewhere else. You know, you look at Lampard did well at Derby and Chelsea took him on. Obviously, the history's always there as well, which, you know, it's always a good thing. And then, you know, he's got a great affiliation with Arsenal. But he's young, and, you know, I know he's been the understudy to Guardiola, but, you know, it's just a different ball game, isn't it, managing such a top team? And it comes with its pressures. I hope he's the right man for the job. I like Mikel Arteta. I think, you know, you think back to him as a player and what he stood for. You know, we had a lot of flair about him. Never got into the Spanish side, oddly enough. And maybe he's got a point to prove. As a player, he did really well. Had a great career. Never quite hit the top. Maybe that's where he's going now. That's and with a bit of luck, you know, if he can get that job and hit the ground running, you know, he might just raise a few eyebrows.
Can I ask a question, Neil?
Yeah.
If he was becoming your manager, how would you feel up there, and how would the Everton fans feel about that?
I think at this moment in time, if you took Ancelotti out the equation, I think we'd be fairly happy with that. Again, it's so tough for us because, you know, we've had Coleman, Allardyce, and then obviously Silva came in. You're always looking for someone who's proven a winner, someone who's going to come with a reputation with trophies behind them. I would have took him with Ancelotti out the equation, and you know, I'd hope that he'd do well. You know, you look at the likes of when he was around and the side we had at the time, and, you know, your Tim Cahill's and players of that credential, I think he would have brought in if he had to come to Everton. Having said that, you know, his managerial career has taken a different route, and you never know. Who will he take there? I've heard talk that you're after the youth scout from Manchester City, and who knows what other contacts he's got. I've read that, you know, he's got lots of novel ideas with the younger players that he's brought through, which you've seen on the pitch with City. So he's obviously highly thought of, but, you know, it's becoming an assistant to a manager is a huge step, especially in the Premier League. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
Lee, what do you make of Arteta as a manager then? We've got to get behind him, haven't we?
Well, yeah, we've got to get behind him. You know, the fan base is mixed. Listen, whatever happens, if we'd have got, I don't know, say if we got Ancelotti, some people would have said, oh, we should have got Poch, we should have got so and so, should have got so. Everybody's not going to be happy with, you know, that is a fact. If I'm optimistic that things, you know, listen to what Neil's saying there. I think there's going to be certain things he's going to be good at. The worrying thing is, I'm totally agree on that, is that, you know, like you look at Frank Lampard and what he's doing at Chelsea, and it's been great, but he has had that little bit of experience at Derby. Does that mean that it's going to make him a better manager going into Chelsea game? Who knows? You know, I don't know. You know, the one thing, it's a risk. I don't think you can say that it's not. But if you want my honest opinion, it was probably out of Arteta and Emery the last time, like, and I thought, oh no, we've got to go Emery because he's got experience, he's won trophy, and it didn't work. So it might be that the case of, you know, he comes in there, what he's got to do is have a spine and get and kick a few of these players up the backside and make sure they start performing, because that is the key, you know. And I think that's where Lundberg, I think, fell down, because I don't think he was ever going to get the job, and the players probably knew that, you know. I think that was always difficult. But listen, I think we need someone that's going to coach youngsters, or someone's going to come in and do that coaching side of things and make our younger players better, hopefully bring in a couple of more players as well. But listen, I think also it's going to be really on the ball to see what happens in January. You know what I mean? Dan. I think that if they back him, give him some funds, because you know you're only a good enough you're a good enough coach as you're only on your players. You know, if you've got no good decent players, you're not going to do any good. He's got to have some players. He's got to have some defenders put in front of him to work on what we got. Look at Pep and Arteta at Man City. They've had a couple of defenders missing, and they've been not that great. So he's not going to be able to work with what the players he's got at the back now. So he's going to have to sign some. And just higher hope that the board are not looking at this as a cheap option, and they would hopefully bring in a couple of players as well. But listen, as you say, you know, people turn around and say, "Oh, you've got to back the manager." Well, you ain't got no choice. You've got to do that. What can you do? You're not going to go no more. You're going to, you know. And I understand there's a lot of resentment about it at the moment. That's why I'm not condemning people when they say, "Oh, I'm not going to go no more. I've had enough of the board." I get all of that. If you know, they've been pumping in money far too long. And I feel that the fans now, with disappointment, feel they're being mugged off. I get that, and it's just now of just, you know, sitting there and hoping more than anything else, Dan. But hopefully we can. And I said,
will give him time.
Well, I think you've got to give him this season now. I think you've got to write this season off now. I think do you know what? I'm going to say this now. If we have a good season and we don't get into Europe at the end of it, I ain't going to be that bothered. I'm not bothered if we get into this Europa League no more. You can call me a snob or whatever. Like I don't like it. Let's have a year out of it. It's no money. It'll save the fans money and costing the board money. Fantastic. And we can.
Primary focus can be on the league.
Yeah. Go that way. Go that route. That's what I think that we're going to have to do. We'll see what happens. You know. Listen, at this moment in time, don't write off if it does work. We're only 7 points off of the top, you know, top four. So it ain't all boom and going. All right, we're 7 points off the bottom. But if it works, we could still be in with a shout. Who knows?
It's a lot less than City are off Liverpool, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that was meant to be a 2-horse race, so you just never know, do you?
Exactly. You just never know. And you know what I'm hoping for tonight is Everton go to extra. There's no extra time today, is there? Like in that League Cup,
straight to penalties in the Carabao.
So let's just hope they that Leicester really give them a good kick them all up in the air and Everton win on penalties. You know what I mean? Like, and they're jaded, and they take us on a little bit jaded. That's what I'm hoping for, anyway.
I'll tell you what, Lee. I do feel sorry for any manager coming in having to work with our defence, because it can't be fun, can it?
It's embarrassing. It's just championship defence. It's as simple as that. You know, I'll say it now. You know, listen, Everton. You know, Neil will be quietly confident knowing that with the players they've got, with Charlotte and Calvert, Lewin, that they're going to have a field day. You know, they give Chelsea a run around at times. They even give Man United like massive problems at Old Trafford. So they'll be licking their lips at the likes of our boys running out, you know what I mean? And it's as simple as that, you know. And who hasn't scored for Everton for a little while, get your money on them, because that's about to end. You know what I mean?
That's a great shout, mate. That is a great shout. Neil, coming to you, talking a bit about the game at the weekend now. Excuse me. Who worries you in our team? Because we're not playing great at the moment. But is there anyone you think, I don't fancy coming up against them?
I mean, you're always going to look at your forward line, aren't you? I looked at Aubameyang when you signed him. I think we've been linked with a lot of your strikers before you got them. We was always crying out for someone to replace Lukaku. Never found him. I would have liked to have had Aubameyang. I like him. I think he fits the makeup of Everton. I think he could have just slotted in there quite seamlessly, and he's always got goals in him. So I think in terms of a goal threat, he's the one we'd have to be looking at. Ferguson's tended to go back to man marking. I think Everton struggled defensively with the zonal in the past. I think going back to basics. I think he's the man we're going to have to be looking out for. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, fair one. Lee, same question to you. Everton have got a few players going forward as well. Is there anyone that you look at and think, we've got to try and keep him quiet, because he could be very dangerous? I mean, they've got a couple, to be fair.
They've got a couple, but I'm telling you who's good. Has Iwobi scored a Premiership goal yet, Neil?
I think he's definitely scored. Is it in the Premier League or not?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure. He's definitely got a goal or two.
he's definitely got a couple in the cup, I know that. But listen,
I mean, against
it's
all
made
teams
for him.
as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's made for him. It's
Written in the stars.
It's absolutely made for him. Like, you know what I mean? Look, listen,
And
I think
Walcott on white.
Walcott's injured. I think Walcott.
Is he?
Yeah, I don't think Walcott will make it.
You know, so
yeah, so I think he should be a cert to start. He will be, I think, especially we're so depleted at the minute as well.
Yeah, to be honest, Theo would always cause us a few problems. Like, to be honest, the last couple of games he's played in, he's looked really good for Everton. It's not quite worked out for him there, but I think, you know, his pace would have always, if he was playing, would cause us problems. But it's all set up for Iwobi, you know, to do really well. Like, you know, I think with Iwobi, I think with the games that I've watched for Everton, he's a mixed bag, isn't he, Neil? You know what I mean? There's some good things, some bad things, and some indifferent things. You know, that's what we had at Arsenal. It's frustrating.
Yeah, confidence as well.
Yeah, he's a confidence player, and but listen, I've got
to play well yourself.
I've got a lot of time for him. You know what I mean? He works really hard, and you know, so
he's an honest player. Yeah,
he's honest, and I think that he's you know, going to cause us through problems. It just depends who they play in midfield as well, because I think that, you know, if we can keep the ball,
I think that's going to be the sticking point for Everton, and I think that's where you might be able to exploit us.
Just depending, you know, who we playing in, obviously. But if we can keep the ball and frustrate in that area, get the fans. I don't really know what's going to happen on Saturday, because I think, like, there's definitely Ferguson's taking it now. So, you know, with the Ferguson factor, it might just ease off a little bit if he's not there. So I don't really know how it will go from that point of view. You know, but
I mean, he's kept the same side tonight. I think Sigurdsson's not far behind, but you'd be thrusting him back into the side, so he's going to be rusty. You would
what
have
about
thought.
the left back? Is he was injured, wasn't he? Like the left back.
Luke Dean is out. Yeah, so you're not going to see him.
Leighton Baines will come in there. So. Yeah, you know,
and I think that's a big plus for you guys as well. I think.
Yeah, just about to say that. You know,
he's a decent. He's a great player. His crossing went off the ball a bit, and it does tend to. But I mean, in terms of set pieces, he's dangerous. But again, you're going to get that with Leighton Baines, I suppose. But
about 35 now, is he? So to have 2 games in 3 or 4 days, just coming back from injury, you know, Pepe should. Looking to exploit that, so that could be one avenue we could get down. Yeah,
I think with Leighton Baines coming in on the left, I think you're likely to see Sadebe on the right. I think Coleman's starting tonight, but it wouldn't surprise me if Sadebe started on Sunday, especially with the Christmas fixtures as well. You know, you've always got to do a bit of chopping and changing, and I think he might come in at right back on Saturday. Yeah.
So what do you reckon the team will be then, Neil, on Saturday? What are you going to come? What we're going to come up against? Do you reckon?
I don't think he'll change it much. It'll either be whether he sticks with Holgate in midfield again. I thought he did well against Man United, although he was literally told hours before the match. I thought he did really well in that respect. I think if Sigurdsson is fit and ready, I think he'd be tempted to start him. Whether he'll push Holgate back into the centre back position with Mina, or whether he'll go for Keane. I'm not too sure, just to give him a bit of a rest. You're going to have Baines at left back, guaranteed, and Sadebe or Coleman right back. I can't see any major changes other than that, to be fair. I think you'll see Iwobi and Bernard starting again, Calvert, Lewin, Richarlison. Very much what you saw against Man United, give or take Sadebe, and obviously Baines is going to start.
Who's in your midfield? Obviously, Andre Gomez is injured with that horrendous foot injury. Who's in your centre midfield at the moment?
I mean, it's a real struggle. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the likes of Schneiderlin, Tom Davis. He had to put Holgate in there. Fabian Delph's injured. We signed Gabamin in the summer, injured straight away. You talked about Gomez, who broke his leg. Real struggle. So, like I said, I mean, that's the area that you're likely to exploit us a little bit more. Which is why I think if Sigurdsson does come back, he might just go with a bit of experience. Schneiderlin, you always know what you're going to get. No frills type of player. But with Ferguson in charge, he might get him to put that extra yard in with a bit of luck.
Absolutely. So, Lee, we're moving on to our midfield. I mean, it could be where it's won. We talk about the midfield battle. Our midfield this season has been pretty shocking, hasn't it? So, what's your thinking for this game? If it is Arteta coming in, does he go with the youngsters? Does he go with a mix? What do you reckon the team's going to be? Predict the team for the weekend, mate.
Well, I think like for the midfield, I think I'm going young. Sorry, I've had it. You know what I mean? Like we're going.
Yeah, so have I. I'm going to go
I
with
like
it.
the is it Joe Willock? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to stick him in.
I'm
sticking Willock in to Traore. I'd love it to see Danny Ceballos come back, but doesn't look like he is. So I'm going to go Willock, and I'm going to go against. I think Guendouzi's been poor last few games, so I'm going to go Granit Xhaka in there as well. Xhaka, Torreira and Willock would be my three in there. You know, bit of legs,
Torreira's got a couple of games under Lundberg.
Yeah, he's done all right. He's done all right the last couple of games. If he stays disciplined, he's the one there. Like so obviously Saka will play left back. So he's done fairly well there to be honest.
Yes.
You know? So I will go that Maitland-Niles at right back. I've got a feeling he's going to bring back David Luiz for this one. Like, I just got a feeling, and it'll be Chambers and David Luiz. Obviously, Leno in goal. It's going to be very interesting what he does with the guys up front. Martinelli's got to play. He will cause any team problems. You know what I mean? And he'll get at Everton at stages. Aubameyang's got to play, and it's whether he plays Pepe or Lacazette in that other position, so that'd be interesting to see what he's going to do there,
Yeah, well, for me,
Still
I
not
think
good enough to beat Everton, no, I'm afraid. Still not good enough.
It's a shame, isn't it? But Leighton Baines is obviously going to be the one that is potentially a weak link, although he has been a great player over the last decade, to be fair to him. But Pepe or Martinelli or Aubameyang, to be fair, could cause him some issues, I think. So that could be our advantage and one of our kind of weak points. Neil, I want to take you through some of your players that you have signed, because I saw something that come up, and I'm looking down because I've got this on my phone. But I saw this on a stat on Sky Sports the other day in terms of the players that you've bought in under Marco Silva. I just want to quickly read through them because it's gone through 207 million. So what Everton have been backed by Mashuri, they've obviously been given some money. It'd be nice if we had that same with the Cronkies. But I'm just going to run through very quickly with what you've gone through. You obviously bought Richarlison in from Watford for £40 million. All right, quite a lot of money, but he's been a fairly okay signing for you.
Yeah,
Lucas Dean, I always call him Lucas Digne, but I think it's Lucas Dean, isn't it, or whatever you call him, from
Luca
Barcelona. Luca Dean. No, I was nearly right. Luca Dean.
The official term.
That's it, mate. Barcelona for 20 million. Yerry Mina also from Barcelona for 28.5. You got Bernard on a free from Shakhtar. Andre Gomez for 22 million from Barcelona. Fabian Delph for 9 million from City. You've got Gabamin, is it?
Yeah.
Yep, for 25 million. Moise Kean for 27.5, and Iwobi for 35 million. So you spent quite a lot of money on that kind of midfield, and that. So he has been backed, Marco Silva. One thing that I have not been able to get my head around with Arsenal is the recruitment. We've spent money in the wrong areas, and I've gone on a couple of rants the last couple of nights about it. But what's your opinion on your transfer windows? Do you see those signings as successful for Everton?
Yeah, I think when Coleman took over, I think we were throwing money left, right and centre. Just give us a second. Sorry about that. When Coleman took over, we were throwing money left, right and centre. We were just buying players for the sake of it. We weren't looking at specific areas we needed to strengthen. We were just looking at players and thinking, let's get them. It got the fans excited, but it soon rung true that, when you looked at these players on the pitch, they were lost. It was just a bunch of new players that didn't know what to do. I think since Silva's took over, I think we got Marcel Brands in. I think the recruitment has been a lot better. I think the players that you've just mentioned and the likes of, we're looking at players that have played for big teams, Luca Dean. To get a left back for 20 million nowadays from a club like Barcelona is unheard of. So I thought that was great business, and he's done well. I think Gomez looked like a Rolls Royce player as soon as Everton signed him. He went off the boil a bit, as players do. And unfortunately, he's had the injury now, so we'll have to wait and see whether he comes back and does just as well. Gabamin, again, so unlucky. Fabian Delph, England international, proven 9 million from Manchester City. it's a no-brainer. So I think the recruitment under Marcel Brands has been good. You've got to spend money regardless. It's just that's the market that we're in. Moise Kean is probably the weak link if you look at the transfers that we have brought in, and you think about Juventus being a huge club, and this is a kid that has come in and scored goals for them before we signed him. You often think, why are they selling him? And that raised a few eyebrows. And there have been a few attitude problems. He's turned up to training late. He's turned up to a match late, and they didn't make the squad. And I felt for him against Man United, but maybe he did need teaching a lesson as well. So recruitment, good. Unlucky with injuries, yes. And in a sense, I do feel for Marco Silva in that sense. I think with his best 11, who knows what he could have done. Towards the tail end of last season, we were playing good football, beating big teams. It just didn't happen for him, unfortunately. But we'll see how much money they throw at Ancelotti and what he does with it as well. But there's still a lot of deadwood at Everton. Let's not forget, we're still paying a lot of wages for players that, I mean, Kuko Martira and Oumar Niasse made the bench last weekend. That just shows how depleted our squad is. But these are players on big money as well that we've still got at the club. So we've got a lot of deadwood to get rid of, and we've got a lot of big players that need to come back and hopefully come back better.
No, I think it's a great point in terms of your recruitment. Lee, if you had to pick an Everton player that you could have anyone you wanted, who would you want to sign if you could sign an Everton player there now? Because obviously they've got some great forward players, but it's perhaps not the position that we would be looking at recruiting. But is there one player that stands out for you that you'd think would be great in an Arsenal shirt?
Well, Mina, I'd go for him. I thought he was very, very impressive in the World Cup for Colombia. I liked him. He's had a couple of setbacks with injuries.
Yeah.
But he's a sort of powerful centre half that I think that Arsenal could work with someone like that. That's who I'd probably go for, somebody like that.
It can definitely shore up your defence. Yeah. I think it's just finding the right
got to find the right
pairing.
partner. Yeah.
That's definitely. It. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But,
I must admit, I actually went for Andre Gomez. I know he's not fit at the moment, but I think when he is fit and when he's firing, I think he looks like he controls that for midfield, and I like him a lot. And I think that he is going to be a great player for Everton. And maybe if he does get to the stage where big club, come in for him and he's playing Champions League football, I think he'd be good enough for that. So he definitely make our midfield better, in my opinion, anyway. Although that's not hard at the moment.
Yeah,
so
I just hope he comes back stronger. And I think he had his troubles at Barcelona in terms of confidence, and obviously breaking your leg in the way that he did, in the manner that he did, that's going to set you back. But with a bit of luck, he's at the right club. He's got good players around him. We do have that sense of a family, feel of a club. And when you look at the clips that you see on Twitter or Instagram, the players do look together, and hopefully they can rally around him and just hopefully get him back as soon as we can, and he can kick on again. They do say, players tend to come back stronger, but it was a bad break, that.
Yeah,
it was horrendous. Absolutely. Neil, same question to you. If you could pick an Arsenal player in your Everton lineup, who are you going for? David Luiz, yeah?
Let's have a think.
Or Mustafi. You could have Mustafi if you want.
No, it's all right. I'll tell you who we have missed, and we've not replaced. We did buy Gabamin, and he has been injured, so I can't say whether he's going to be a good player or not. But we don't half miss Idrissa Gueye. Absolutely, massively miss him.
Great player.
And I think we just need that defensive midfield player. I've seen glimpses of Torreira doing a good job for you guys. I always think players need a good season or two just to sort of bed themselves in. But I mean, in terms of showing up that defence, we just haven't got that. We've got Fabian Delphin. But I mean, it's just huge. You see it week in, week out. He just instilled that confidence in that back four, Idrissa Gueye. And I think, again, he's as big a miss as Lukaku was for me, because he hasn't been replaced. Again, I can't vouch for Gabamin. He's not had the games as he's been injured, but I'd have to go for one of your defensive midfielders, and I'd take a punt on Torreira.
But you know what? Torreira is a great defensive midfielder. The only problem is that Arsenal haven't been playing him in defence.
Don't blame you.
That's his natural position, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange.
He does well for Uruguay, and he had fairly good, I'd say, 6 months last season, Lee, didn't he? Where he's playing defensive midfield.
Yeah, it done all right for us when he first went in there, but they've changed it about, and for the life of me, I don't know why. But it's interesting when you see someone like Neil that watches it from afar and sees that, and you know our wonderful managers and coaches and ball don't. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable.
Again, it's going back to basics, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your best position? Get in there, do a job.
Do a job. Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Boys, predictions. We'll start with you, Lee. What are you predicting, mate? Is it an Arsenal win?
Unfortunately not. No, unfortunately not. I think we will score. I think we'll nick one, but I think that Everton are going to be too strong for us. 2-1, 3-1. I think as it's Christmas, we go 2-1.
Neil, I've got to ask you the same question. What do you think the score is going to be, mate?
I'm hearing that Ancelotti's going to be in the stand. I think that'll add some substance to the team. I think tonight's result might have a bearing on it as well. If heads go down and we do lose, or the manner that you lose sometimes, if we do go out on penalties, then heads can go down. So I think, depending on how tonight goes, if we win tonight, I'd fancy us to get at least a point. I think if heads go down and we do lose, if we lose in a bad manner tonight, I think it could be a chance for yourselves to get yourselves back up the table. I'll sit on the fence. I'll go for a score draw.
Oh, surprise, Neil! Surprise.
That is a surprise.
If you spoke to me after the match, I might have said that.
I'm going to agree with Lee, Mr. Lee Judges, and I think we are going to lose 2-1. But I fancy us to get a goal. I think you're going to cause us too many problems. Our defence, I just cannot see how we're not going to concede at least 2 goals. I think Calvert Lewin's going to cause us lots of problems, and coming in from either side, Bernard, even Iwobi, and of course Richarlison. I just think it's going to be a nightmare for whoever plays there, whether it's Luiz, Socrates, Chambers. I just think that you're going to cause us too many issues. And even if it is Arteta taking over, I don't think that he's going to shore up that defence for us, unfortunately. So I am going to go for a 2-1 loss.
Minimum, we concede minimum 2 goals a game. So, it's definitely Everton 2.
If Arteta's in there in time for the match, would you change your opinion? Or
No.
No, I don't think I would either. I think that it's too much of an ask for the lad, and I feel sorry for him that he's been brought in with them players, because it's embarrassing, Neil. You know, I don't know how much you watch Arsenal. I don't. But our defence has been so poor, mate. It's unreal. It doesn't matter who plays there. If they've not been coached well. They're not good enough. They've got lack of quality. And Lee said it earlier on this pod that they're a championship level. And honestly, if you put them in Ipswich Town in League One, I don't think you'd actually see any difference with the defence, because I just think they're absolutely shocking individually and as a unit. You know,
you just can't do it at this level, can you?
No, you really can't.
No, that's the problem. You know what I mean? And you can see that like even against Man City, we started off on the front foot. That was it after 30 seconds. After 1 minute 30 seconds, we're a goal down. That would be the case, I think. On and then edge drop and everything. I think that we'll probably control the first 5 minutes or so, and then as soon as Everton have attacked, they'd be at us, and it'd be panic stations, and that's how it's been. And unfortunately, it's 1 training session, 2 training sessions is not going to make much difference, really.
Absolutely. Let's try and stay positive, but it's always hard at the moment for both of us, really. I mean, Everton as well. I know you've had a couple of games, but it hasn't been a great season for either club. So let's hope after Christmas both teams pick up there, because there's no massive rivalry between Arsenal and Everton. I've always quite liked Everton, to be fair. So let's hope that we both start picking it up. Lee, absolute pleasure as always, mate.
No worries. Thanks, Gerson. And I enjoyed that. It was a good chat.
Good stuff. Neil, likewise, thanks for coming on, mate. How can people follow you on social media, mate?
It's at Neil Hultram. I'm not sure if the Twitter handle comes up when they're watching. I can see it on my screen, but
it does come up, mate. Yeah. We can all see it.
Yeah, it's on there then, yeah. So they can just reach me on that Twitter, yeah. No problem.
Great stuff. Go and follow Neil.
Appreciate
Everton fans are watching.
As well. Yeah, enjoy that,
Good luck
mate.
tonight. Good luck. I hope you win
Cheers,
tonight.
mate. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're look at that. We're just about finishing time. You go and watch it, Neil.
Yeah,
there
yeah,
we go. I
watch it.
told
Nice
you we
one.
would.
I've not even had my tea yet.
Yeah, as you
Oh,
two
bless you.
and watch Everton win, like
Great
We
stuff.
shall
Boys,
see.
thank you all very
Take
much.
care,
We'll
lads. All the best.
See you all
No
soon.
worries.
Take care
Cheers.
then. Bye-bye now.
See you now.
Bye.
Bye.